Okay, let's review Ring of Honor Wrestling from the June 15th, 2003 episode. The show opened with backstage segments, first from Matt Sydal challenging Samoa Joe for the ROH TV Championship, then another backstage segment with Samoa Joe accepting the challenge. This is how the show began, with these two backstage segments from earlier in the day being shown first. And then we move on to the first match of the night, which is Joe versus Sydal for Joe's TV title. The stage and the whole setup of Ring of Honor, the ring, the stage, everything, it felt like TNA. It reminded me a bit of TNA from like 2010, maybe. It was just a bit weird. I miss the old Ring of Honor setup where it was a bit more dark. The ring was like red and black or just all black, and I thought that gave it a really unique feel compared to other wrestling promotions. So Samoa Joe won and retained the title with a muscle buster. It's been a while since I saw that move, since it was banned in the WWE. That move looks really brutal. And of course, in the end, they did the ROH style handshake, the code of honor. That's one of the things I really liked about Ring of Honor. This is something that makes it unique. There were a lot of matches throughout the night for a 2-hour show. ROH really puts the wrestling in ROH Wrestling. So I'm just going to go through some of the matches there. Nick Komoroto beat Deimos, who was accompanied by Teal Piper. Teal Piper, of course, is the daughter of the legendary Rowdy Piper. The Iron Savages dominated a tag team match and won against Rhett Titus and Tracy Williams. Then Teal Piper wrestled, this time accompanied by Deimos, and she lost to Diamante via submission. It was interesting how Teal Piper had the exact same entrance music as Roddy Piper. We then had a very interesting match with Tony Nese and Serpentico. So Tony Nese was accompanied by Smart, Mark Sterling, and Arya Davari. And before the match began, they did an in-ring segment where Tony Nese actually asked all the audience to stand up and exercise with him. And I never saw something like that in wrestling before. People stretching their arms in the crowd, just following along. It was something unique. It was a weird backstage segment as well. And of course, Tony Nese won. There was also a weird backstage segment with Kiera Hogan talking about some weird stuff, like how she's on her period. We'll see her again later in the show. Miranda Alize beat the Notorious Mimi in a match. Stu Grayson and the Righteous beat Dalton Castle and the Boys. And after the match, we see a backstage segment where Dark Order are attacking House. Stu Grayson is basically making a mistake, hanging out with the Righteous. The ROH Women's Champion Athena also then beat Adora in a non-title match. This was a match with a 10-minute time limit where if Adora won, she would get a title shot against Athena. After the match, after Athena won and retained, and by the way, this is Ember Moon from the WWE. She was attacking Adora, and then Kiera Hogan, remember her? She came out, the two of them brawled. They brought some weapons in the match, like a garbage can lid, a table, and finally Athena ran and, I think speared Kiera Hogan through the table. So it looks like they're building a feud there. Mark Briscoe also beat Anthony Henry, and it looks like he's now in line for a TV title shot against Samoa Joe at some point. There was then this weird backstage segment with Tony Khan and QT Marshall booking a couple of matches. The DKC then faced Daniel Garcia in a Pure Rules match. I've never seen a match like this before. Of course, it's been around for a long time in Ring of Honor. But Daniel Garcia won via submission. Sky Blue beat Weeva Van as well. And finally, the last match of the night, the Embassy retained their ROH 6-man tag team titles against AR Fox, Darius Martin, and Action Andretti. Okay, so I just counted my notes. It turns out there were actually 12 matches in this episode. So for a 2-hour show, having 12 matches, even if they're all not that long, I mean, just wow, that's like 6 matches per hour. So basically, one match every 10 minutes. That's pretty crazy that they were able to book something like this. I assume this is now the regular for ROH. Of course, when I watched ROH, it was back in the day when they were only like an hour long. Maybe I would watch it sometimes, and they would only have like 2 3 matches in a show, but what they would do is the matches would be really long. So wow, yeah, pretty interesting wrestling show. They've really done a good job of standing out. I might watch a couple more episodes, but I don't know if I'll do this in the long term. Okay, that's all for the ROH June 15th episode review.